Welcome to Beyond the Clinic, the podcast for health professionals ready to transform their expertise into innovative income streams that extend beyond the traditional clinic model. I'm Sarah Armand-Bushell. I'm a registered dietitian and certified business coach and proud owner of 2 successful online businesses. I understand the leap from the security of a regular salary can feel intimidating because I've been there too. But it doesn't have to be scary, and you do not have to do this alone. Here you'll learn tangible strategies to accelerate your business growth. So if you're dreaming of using your expertise to create impact and a life of freedom, then you're in the right place. Welcome along. Today we are talking about visibility, but don't worry, it's not the terrifying, shouty kind that makes you want to hide under the duvet and delete the Instagram app off your phone. We're talking safe, confidence-building visibility, the kind that helps you attract clients, grow your income, and believe in yourself without needing to perform or go viral. So perfect if you are naturally an introvert like me. In this episode, I'm going to share how I overcame my own fear of being seen, the mindset work that changed everything, and 5 simple visibility actions that you can start taking today, even if the thought of posting makes you sweat. By the end, you'll know how to show up in a way that feels good, in a way that builds trust and actually leads to bookings. So with that said, let's dive in. So I know that you want to grow your business. I know that you want to help more people to replace your NHS salary, maybe even go part-time or hand in that resignation letter one day. You're smart, you're qualified, you're passionate. And if people actually knew what you did, you just know that they'd want to work with you. But there's often this one teeny tiny thing that gets in the way, and that is our visibility. And I don't mean standing on a TEDx stage in a power suit, just writing a social media post that doesn't sound like a university assignment, or sending an email to your list without triple checking the grammar first, or saying what you actually do in a way that isn't vague or frankly a bit vanilla. Because right now you might be hiding. Maybe you're an introvert, I'm an introvert, and maybe being visible feels really quite uncomfortable. But I promise you, it's not your fault. We aren't trained for this. As a healthcare professional, you've spent years mastering evidence-based practice and writing clinic letters and assessing patients, not building personal brands or designing Instagram reels with music. Visibility can just feel a little bit icky in a way, maybe a little bit unsafe even. And you may have even caught yourself thinking things like, what if someone from work sees this? Or what if I say something wrong and I get called out? Or what if people think I'm just being too pushy or too self-promotional? Or, what if nobody engages and it just flops? And it's like there's this window between you and the business that you want. And on the other side of it, you can see the clients, you feel confident, and you can see that financial freedom. But you're stuck just staring through it at the moment, paralyzed by what might happen if you just show up. And while we're being honest, this can make you feel really tired, actually, exhausted, tired of lurking, tired of spending 40 minutes crafting a caption and then deleting it before you decide to post it, tired of overthinking everything from your font choice to your hashtags. And let's not even talk about video. You'd probably rather wrestle a sticky toddler into a car seat than go live. And still, we've all got this quiet little voice in your head that says, I know I need to show up, but I just can't seem to do it. And that's the real pain point here, isn't it? Because whilst you're hiding in the background, someone with less than half of your qualifications is popping up on social media and talking nonsense about gut resets or calorie-free coffee and charging £147 for a workshop that's sold out in the matter of seconds. And it's just because they're visible. So there is a problem with not showing up. It's Not just keeping you safe, it's actually keeping you stuck because whilst you're obsessing over whether your face looks weird on camera or your accent sounds too Geordie like me, your dream clients are just scrolling on past you and they're finding someone else. And it's not because that other person is better at this or more attractive or they sound less northern. It's because they're visible. And people can't say yes to you if they don't know that you exist. And I've seen this play out time and time again. You know, the dietitian who's been posting inspirational quotes and recipe tips for 6 months but hasn't had a single client inquiry, or a pediatric nutritionist whose website looks absolutely gorgeous, but she doesn't show her face anywhere and she wonders why no one's booking in. The IBS specialist with a master's level qualification who still feels like she's not ready to talk about how she can help people, whilst a nutrition coach with zero credentials runs a group program with 24 participants. It's not a skills gap, it's a visibility gap. And the worst part is every time you don't post or don't show up or don't say what it is that you do, you reinforce a limiting belief in your mind that says, see, you're not cut out for this. And that right there is the real danger, because when you start believing that voice, your business slows right down. Your confidence dips and you end up with actually a really expensive and time consuming hobby instead of a profitable practice. And meanwhile, of course, someone who really truly needs your help, like a parent with a child who's refusing food, or a perimenopausal woman who's drowning in gut issues, or a young lad quietly struggling with binge eating, they go another day without finding the support and expertise that only you can offer, all because you just didn't make that post. And it's heartbreaking, isn't it, when you think of it like that? So I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking, I'm not ready yet. I don't have the right words yet. I need to fix my branding first. Let me just say this to you out of a place of love. That is your perfectionism talking. And perfectionism is just fear dressed up in a fancy outfit, waving around a clipboard and pretending that it's helping you, but it is not. It's delaying your dreams under the disguise of professionalism. And that delay, that is what costs you clients. That is what's costing you cash. And it can slowly chip away at the very thing that you need in bucket loads: self-belief. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful, but you do need to be present. So let me tell you what visibility looked like for me when I started back in my business in the online space in 2017. I didn't look like a confident businesswoman. Let me tell you that now. It looked like me sat in my bedroom after a full clinic day in the NHS, phone in one hand, my thumb hovering over that post button on Facebook, and my heart pounding like I was going to perform on stage at Wembley. It was an infographic post about baby-led weaning, completely evidence-based, totally harmless, and still, there was me sat there on the edge of my bed, sweating. I'd rewritten it 6 times. I had triple-checked the grammar. I'd changed the graphic from sage green to blush pink, because what if someone doesn't like green? You know what? It had me in a bit of a chokehold, really. The thought of one of my NHS colleagues seeing it, that dietitian who sat next to me in the next desk, or worse, my manager, and even that awkward consultant who once called me the Ensure Plus lady on a ward round. I could practically hear the whispers. Oh, she's trying to be an influencer now. Who does she think she is? She is so unprofessional. It felt like I was breaking some kind of unspoken code, that if you were a proper dietitian, you stayed behind the scenes, you stayed quiet, neutral, modest, and you weren't talking on Instagram about feeding kids. I genuinely thought back then that I might get pulled into a meeting or blacklisted by other hospitals' pediatric teams, or actually, worst of all, that no one would care. And I know that sounds really dramatic now, but back then it was absolutely crippling. But Here's the bit that I often don't tell. I deleted that post. I didn't even save it. I just shut the app, made a cup of tea, called myself, you know what, Sarah, try again next week. But I didn't. Not for another 3 months, actually. And in that time, I stayed exactly where I was, still doing my back to back NHS diabetes clinics, still working evenings on freelance CPD and admin, still dreaming about having this flexible business, but doing nothing visible to build it because I was absolutely terrified of what people might think. And if this is where you are now, I see you. Eventually, I realized that something had to change. I had too many dreams to keep dimming myself down. And so I made a rule. I was going to do one small visibility action every single week. And that was it. I didn't want to go viral. I didn't want to grow loads of followers. I just needed to build a little bit of trust in myself, a little bit of self belief. So in week one, I just commented on a colleague's post and introduced myself. In week two, I updated my Instagram bio to clearly say what I actually did, not just registered dietitian, because actually, you know what? No one is Googling that. Week three, I shared a story about a client win, anonymized, of course, and said how proud I felt. And people responded, not hundreds, but enough for me to feel as if I was making a difference. Things like, that was really helpful. Thank you for sharing that. Or, I've been struggling with this with my toddler too. And those teeny tiny moments of validation just meant everything. But the thing that made the biggest difference, it wasn't this little strategy that I'd created for myself. It wasn't even content planning. It was the mindset stuff. I'll never forget it. I was driving around the Sussex countryside one day, doing my home visits in my NHS job and feeling totally stuck. This was what I did all the time, and I was really bored. On paper, everything looked fine. I had a top job. I was an 8B consultant, a great career, some private clients on the side. But inside, I was really full of doubt. And then as I was driving, I stumbled across this free visibility challenge, and it was going to be happening on Facebook. And it sounded absolutely perfect. I thought I'd get social media tips, maybe get some post templates. So I knew what to write, I knew what to create. But what I got when I joined this challenge was mindset coaching. It was about reframing my beliefs. It was guided, future paced visualizations. It was daily journaling prompts. It was trainings on self worth, on fear of failure, on imposter syndrome. And it was like someone had seen inside my brain and held up a bit of a mirror. I remember pulling my car over into a lay-by one morning, proper country lane vibes, sheep nearby, and scribbling notes in my planner like a woman absolutely possessed. One of the things I heard really, really stuck with me. It said, visibility isn't about being confident and loud. It's just about being open to being seen, open to being heard, and open to the possibility that people might be interested in what it is you have to say. That just blew my mind. That was the first time that I realized that this wasn't a marketing issue, it was a mindset issue. And I felt like I was literally the world's best kept secret. And so after that visibility challenge, I doubled down. I started every single day with just a 2-minute visualization. I spoke affirmations into my morning cup of coffee, not in a woo way, but in a really deliberate, focused way. The same way I'd prep my notes before a clinic session, I made prepping myself the priority. And those limiting beliefs, I started to catch them. I started to notice them. I started to name them. And then that meant I could rewrite them. I remember one was, what if people think I'm showing off? And I just changed that to, what if my dream clients feel seen for the first time? I also had a one that was, I'm not polished enough to post, to people don't buy polish, they buy connection with a real human being. And I also had another one that was, I'm just going to wait until I'm ready. And actually, that one was a big one for me. I changed that belief to confidence comes after the doing, not before. And this changed everything for me because when I paired that inner work with the small, consistent, visibility focused daily actions, things began to move really quite quickly for me. And then fast forward to now, I've had clients who tell me things like, I found you because of that email you sent about food refusal. It was like you were in my head. Or I binged on your Instagram stories one evening and booked in the next morning. Or you made me feel safe, like you weren't trying to sell me something. You actually understood what was going on. And even just last week, actually, I had a client say to me, I followed you for years since weaning my firstborn. And now I need help with my second child, who's 7 and is so fussy. And I thought of you. And if you're thinking, that sounds amazing, but you know what, Sarah, that could never happen to me. I want to stop you right there because you can do this. You just need to start really small with safe steps, the kind that helps you feel braver. Because visibility isn't about exposure, but it is about connection. And mindset isn't just fluffy self-care nonsense. It's a foundational business strategy that leads to success. So you can know all of the tactics in the world, but if your inner voice is telling you to stay small and stay safe and keep hidden, then none of this will stick. And that's why this work is so important. Okay, so here's what I want to share with you today. I've got a 5-part visibility roadmap. It's called Show Up and Shine. It's something that I remind myself, and I do really quite often, actually. So there's no pressure to it. There's no dancing. There's no Canva-induced meltdowns. It's just 5 simple actions that really help you build your confidence, your credibility, and actually clients as well. But just one really small, safe step at a time. Okay, so my step 1 of Show Up and Shine is really just a quiet confidence bio refresh. So start with something really easy. So a social media bio, for example, because if your dream client landed on your Instagram or your Facebook or your LinkedIn page, wherever you are, would they actually know what it is that you do and who you help? Or would they scroll away thinking, that's a nice picture of a flat white, but she's not really for me? So if your bio says something like registered dietitian, mum, coffee lover, you've got to rewrite that. You've got to change the story there and make it shine. Your ideal client is looking for help, not a nutritionist's coffee review. They're looking for someone who gets them, someone who can help, someone who feels like a safe pair of hands. So here's what you need to do. You need to state clearly who you help, what you help them with, and what that allows them to do. So my example is I help parents fix fussy eating with science-backed strategies that actually work so you can enjoy happy family meal times. You want to add in a call to action as well. So ideally linking out to a freebie, or if you don't have one, a blog post or another useful resource, because you want to give people a reason to stick around and keep getting to know you. And then use keywords that your dream client would be typing into Google. They're unlikely to be typing in your job title. So my keywords, for example, are fussy eating and family meal times. So visibility, it honestly starts with clarity, and clarity is the first way that you shine. So these teeny tiny tweaks, these really easy things that you can do around your bio can actually lead to huge shifts. One of my clients booked 3 new discovery calls in a week just from updating her Instagram bio and highlighting her expertise and the impact that could have on people. Okay, step 2 of Show Up and Shine is create your I see you post. So this, hands down, is the best way to generate leads on social media, and it is completely free. So write one short post that speaks directly to your ideal client's biggest frustration. So there's a bit of a format to this, so I'll talk you through it now. So we're going to start with a sentence that stops the scroll and shines a light on their struggle. So something that they've literally said to themselves at 3 o'clock in the morning. So for my example, it might be something like, why will they only eat beige food? I'm thinking about my fussy eaters here. The second part of the format is to share one truth or myth busting insight that you wish more people knew in relation to that thing that you've just highlighted. So I might then go on to explain why children prefer beige foods over colourful foods. And then you end with a call to action. So your call to action could be DM me if this sounds like you, or if you want help with expanding their diet beyond beige, the link is in my bio. But you need to give them the next step that leads directly into a conversation with you. So you don't need polished graphics, you don't need pro photography, you just need empathy. You just need to understand where they are, and that's your superpower. That is honestly how you shine. So inside my program, one of our students did exactly this, but consistently for a week. And she signed 2 new clients as a direct result of those posts. There was no hard sell. There was no discovery calls, actually. It was just straight from back and forth chats in the DMs after they saw one of her posts. And it's all because that her content truly resonated with the people that she was trying to help. Okay, step 3 of Show Up and Shine is to reconnect with your quiet audience. So hopefully you've got an email list. I've talked a lot about email lists, but you know that email list that you might have started, but you haven't necessarily nurtured them very much. It's really important to resurrect and re-engage them. But we don't want to do that with a sales pitch, not with news from HQ, just real human moments of reconnection. That's all. So again, here's how you do that. You want to send a short email, a friendly email that simply says, hey, it's been a while. Here's something I think that you're going to love. And then you share something really valuable with them. So it could be a blog post that you've written. It could be a podcast episode that you've been featured on. It could be a YouTube video that you've created, or even an Instagram carousel post that's had great feedback. So the goal here is you're warming your email audience back up. So you're reminding them that you exist and what actually brought them into your world in the first place. And most importantly, you're giving them lots of awesome value way ahead of ever asking for a sale. Your inbox is still one of the most powerful places to build trust. And unlike social media, you're not fighting an algorithm in order to be seen. So in my business, email marketing is the backbone of what I do, and my list is very engaged, which is great. But if we're going through a super quiet patch where sales are a bit slower than I'd forecasted, I'll run a really similar re-engagement campaign. I did this actually back in March this year. No pitch, just genuinely helpful email with a link to a blog about toddlers throwing food. And I got replies, which led to conversations. And then a message that said, well, I didn't realize you helped with this. How can I book in? And it wasn't because I was trying to sell. It was just because I was being genuinely helpful, first and foremost. And that is actually visibility at its best. Okay, where are we up to? Step 4 of Show Up and Shine. And this is show your face. So I want to talk about visibility, but without making you feel terrified, because you don't need to be polished, as I've said. You don't need to deliver a TED talk, but you do need to be seen. So here's your challenge. I want you to record a 30-second maximum video introducing yourself and one myth that you'd love to bust that's relevant to the people in your niche. So if you're not sure what to say, you can try this format. So here goes. Here's one thing I wish more people knew, and then state the myth. Hi, my name is da-da-da. I'm a dietitian specializing in, and then state the area. And I help people just like you feel more, and then tell them how you want them to feel or how they want to feel. Then you go on to explain the myth, and then you end with if, and then insert the bigger problem they've got is something you need help with, send me a DM. So this, I recognize here that I have given you some blanks to fill in. So I'm going to flesh this out in terms of what I might say. One thing I wish more people knew is that there's a reason children prefer food from packets. Hi, I'm Sarah Armand Bushell. I'm a dietitian specializing in fussy eating, and I help mums and dads just like you feel more in control when feeding their kids. And then I'll go on and explain the myth, and then I'll end with, if your child fussy eating is causing daily drama at the dinner table and it's something you need help with, send me a DM. So I hope that's helpful. I will pop this in the blog post that goes with this podcast episode, and you can head over to my website if you want to take that caption and just fill in the blanks so it's more related to your clinical area. But what I want to say here is don't overthink this. Don't overthink the lighting. Don't overthink the delivery. It isn't an audition for anything. You do not need sequins on your costume in order to shine here. It is just about human connection. Face-to-camera video builds trust faster than anything that's written. And if live video feels like too much, pre-record it. Do a couple of takes until you're happy with it, because people don't need perfection, but they do need to see you. And then step 5 of show up and shine is to shine a light on your wins and even the quiet ones. Here is why so many brilliant people get stuck. You might post something and it gets, say, 11 likes, and your brain goes, oh, that was pointless. But you know what? Visibility isn't about likes, it's about leadership. It's about showing up with value, with heart, with your face, even when the room feels a bit quiet. Because the right people, they're watching, they're lurking in the background. And even if they don't double tap, even if they're not commenting, they're there. So let's flip the script here. I want you to start keeping a show up and shine log, a simple note in your phone or notebook or planner where you track what it is that you shared, how it felt, and any conversations or comments or quiet nudges or messages or bookings that follow, because this is your evidence. Because those little glimmers, those parents who DM'd me to say, oh my goodness, this made me cry, but in a good way, or the colleague who reshared your story or left a heart emoji, or your old mate from university who said, didn't know you specialized in this. Can we have a chat about my child? That's actually visibility working for you. So it might not look like fireworks or floods in your inbox just yet, but it's traction, it's trust, and it's you quietly becoming the go-to person. You're building authority. You are being seen, and yes, you're already shining. You don't need a massive following, but you do need to resonate with the right people. You don't need to be loud or polished. You just need to show up with clarity and care. And you don't need to get it perfect. You just need to make a start. Because every big win that I've ever had in business, whether it's been one of my 40K launches, a sold out course that happened within a matter of hours, or a fully booked clinic, every single one of those started with one really small, slightly wobbly moment of courage, a post or an email or a story where I showed my face and I told the truth. You might not need a new marketing strategy, but what you might well need is a new belief about yourself. So you can do this. You are ready, and you honestly do deserve to shine. And that belief, that starts the second you decide to show up and shine. Okay, let's wrap it up now. So today we've talked about visibility, and you've learned that visibility isn't about being the loudest or the boldest or the brashest. It's just about showing up. It's about being present. It's about being crystal clear with the message that you want to share. And actually, it's just about being human. We've talked about the real fears that often hold many of us back, and I've been there as well. We've also talked about the mindset shifts that unlock momentum, and 5 doable show up and shine actions that help you get visible. And the more visible your business is, the more leads you'll get, the more inquiries will come in, and the more clients you'll book. So this is your invitation to stop waiting to feel ready and to start taking small, safe steps that lead to big results, because your people can't find you if you're hiding. But when you show up, everything changes. So here's what I want you to do next, your action step. So just pick one of those 5 show up and shine actions that we've covered in today's episode. Just pick one, but actually do it. Not perfectly, not when the kids are quiet, not after you've redesigned your logo or updated your website. Just do it today, because visibility needs to be a daily practice in your business if you want your business to make a real difference to your life. I hope that's been helpful for you. Bye for now. That's it for another week. Thank you so much for joining me as we explore the abundance of strategies to help you recapture that feeling of possibility and excitement as you drive your business forwards and beyond the clinic room. If you found today's episode inspirational, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the show to stay in the loop for more valuable advice that I'm going to be sharing each week. If you want to be the first to hear about new episode releases, news and ways that I can support your business growth, then please don't forget to check out the links in the show notes, and you can also connect with me from there. Don't keep me a secret. I would be delighted if you left a review and shared this podcast with your colleagues. Until next time, bye for now.